Hi everyone, so it's me, Vie Darling, and I decided to make a little channeling video for all of my patrons on Patreon. And this video is about the sun aligning with Alcyone, the brightest star in the Pleiades. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just shuffle some cards and call in the energy. And while I do that, you guys can listen to this. Angels, energies, entities, guides, spirit, source, divine creator, creatures, I ask you to come to me, heal, whole ancestors, heal, whole guides, energies, entities, spirits, come to me. The subtle alignment that is happening today. So it's the Pleiadians, and they are saying welcome. You are welcome here. They are saying, what is it you want to know? How can we best use this energy? What does it bring for us? We want you to know that you are loved. We want you to know that you are light. There is no one or nothing that we love more. All is one. One is all. So I pulled the Page of Cups in the reverse position, the Empress, the Eight of Cups in the direct position, and the Two of Cups in the indirect position. That's a lot of cups. That's actually all cups. And we have all cups in the Empress. I kind of wish that I had turned the light on, actually. So I'm going to do that. Or at least I'm going to turn it up a little bit. So I wasn't intending on doing something that required this much from me, but apparently that's where we're at. So I apologize for the apparent lack of professionalism. So we have the Page of Cups, and okay, so then we have the Queen of Wands at the end. The Page of Cups in the reverse position, and I want to point out the fact that, so this is the Page of Cups, and I want to point out the fact that on all of the Cups cards, we have like these lotuses, and lotuses rise out of mud, okay? So I feel like this is getting us out of the mud. This is like growth. When we have like, you know, these lily pads, and that has to do with frogs, and I feel like there's ancient wisdom here that is being shared with us, that's downloading, and The video that I have on is Goddess Abundantia, Abundance, Money, Abundance Magnet meditation music from 𝗪𝗁 369. I love 𝗪𝗁 369 so much. This is one of my favorite channels for binaural beats, and essentially it's like this gold vortex that like is just giving us this healing energy. And so I feel like there's a lot of throat chakra healing, because the Pleiades, so Alcyone is the brightest light and is the brightest star in the Pleiades, and the Pleiades really have a lot to do with like beauty and light and love and music and that sort of thing. So I think that's part of why I felt compelled to choose the Crystal Visions Tarot deck. And this is aiding us in the like ascension from carbon DNA to crystalline DNA, and this like crystallization of our like chakras. And so for me, this is a process that already began like years ago. And what is happening essentially is like, you know how they say like pressure turns coal into diamonds? Well, that's like what is going on here with like the chakras. The pressure of, you know, the past several years has turned us in from carbon into diamonds, diamond DNA. There's just like this super crystalline water that is flowing. It's like so pure. It's 12th dimensional water that is flowing, and that is the water of life. That is the water of spirit. That's the living water that you know, Yeshua talked about quenching the thirst of the people. That's what he was talking about. That's like that spiritual thirst that people have is quenched through accessing the Christ consciousness light codes that are coming in now. And they are, you know, there's a portal that's opening, and we are able to ascend into those realms of being, in those realms of consciousness, when we just take a step back and allow ourselves to rise into that space. So what I'm being told is just relax and let this happen. It's not something that needs to really, it doesn't really need any help from us. It just is something that needs to happen at this point. It's really about getting out of our way and just letting things flow. And, you know, when we feel ourselves clenching up, just remembering that we have to unclench, and that's just, you know, that's something that we're going to learn, and practice makes progress. The further that we get with this, the better that it's going to be, just easier going forward. And so if we really align ourselves with this, there's no way that this can't happen. So, you know, we may as well just like get into alignment with this. The Page of Cups in the reverse, the Empress in the direct position, the Eight of Cups in the direct position, the Two of Cups in reverse. And then you get the Queen of Wands. And so with this Empress card, she is pregnant. There's a heart on her dress. There are these serpents in a moon, and she has all of these lights on her, and there are butterflies, and there are apples / pomegranates, and behind her there are stalks of wheat. And I feel like this is just very Persephone, Ceres, Demeter energy. And if you paid attention, I talked about that in Gemini season video. We've been talking about that, and I feel like this is helping us to ascend out of the dark realms that we have been existing in the doldrums, in the sickness, in the disease. We're being asked if we want to come forward, and we're being called forward, and we have to just say yes. We just have to accept it. We have to go with the flow if we want to survive, if we want to thrive. It's not just about surviving anymore, it's about thriving. We're going to keep being sick, we're going to keep being, you know, unwell until we get in alignment. And it's really about forgiveness. And, you know, even I've had some like struggles in the past week with being able to forgive, but ultimately it just takes constant reminders that, like, you know, we don't want to give away that sickness anymore. We don't want to give away that energy that hurts people, because we don't want to we don't want to receive that ourselves. So the more that we perpetuate it, the more that we get it back ourselves. And that is betrayal of the self. I get the Emperor in the reverse position, and the Queen of Swords in the reverse position, and then the Magician in the reverse position, and then I get the Six of Cups. And so I feel like what this means is like, we are not really in our power when we're sick like that, and we haven't been in our power for a long time because we've really been learning about like ourselves and our shadow and our disease, and you know, dis-ease. And that is not to say that we are inherently, something's inherently wrong with us, but it is to say what, you know, the human condition as a facet of being low, of a lower dimension. As we rise into these higher dimensions, that kind of energy can't really stay. And so we're being purged of that energy. And a lot of this has to do with, like I said, as the Emperor in the reverse position, the Emperor has these horns on his head. He's wearing this like eye mask. He is controlling this orb, this crystal ball. He has an ankh on his staff, and then there's there's a hawk that's carrying another ball. And so, you know, in the reverse position, I feel like this has a lot to do with the depravity. This has a lot to do with the sorcery, the low vibrational exploitation of divine sacred magics, divine feminine magics, and sacred sexuality. And I'm seeing the Star of David, which for me translates to the 𝗪𝗪𝘁 and the 𝗪𝗪𝗶𝗰, and it all comes back to like this cleansing and purification of the pineal gland, of the ajna, the third eye chakra, which is getting all of that mucus out. And so like if we've been having headaches, that has a lot to do with it. If we've been having throat chakra clearing, that has a lot to do with it. We are right now really integrating, and this process is being helped especially by the alignment of the Pleiadian star Alcyone with the sun of our solar system. And so I just want to go to the Emperor card in this deck because I want to see what the imagery of this deck means. And this is a new deck, as you all know. So when the Emperor appears reversed and sweat, it indicates someone who has become an aggressive dictator in dealing with others. The balance of authority and sensitivity of the Emperor is gone, and one is left with only vanity and intolerance. Because in the right side, structured, protective, and authoritative, the Emperor is the ultimate guardian and patriarch, holding an ankh staff in his right hand, the symbol of life everlasting. The Emperor balances, and so with it in the reverse position, this means that we're not having life. We are being like cycled in this like hamster wheel that is generating all of this low vibrational energy that is then being taken by you know, sorcerers. This is being taken by energy vampires, and it's being used it's being wielded to create power in this 3D structure, in this 3D false matrix structure. The Emperor balances an orb in his left, with his left representing the world he rules and protects. And this is to say, this is exactly what I was saying, like this is a false matrix, this is a false world that they have created, and they are, you know, controlling that world and controlling the people who live in it. But the thing about this is, you know, with this Page of Cups energy in the reverse position, I feel like everything that we've been going through, everything that we've been working through in this dark night of the soul has been like purging us of all of that sickness, all of that energy that has been making our spirit sick, making our soul, you know, it's a soul sickness, because the spirit, I feel like the soul is the individual drop of spirit in each of us. And so spirit is never sick. It's a soul sickness within us where we cannot connect with the collective, we're in a healthy way, where we cannot connect with one, we cannot recognize that all is one, we can't connect because we are sick on the inside. Mentally we are ill, and this messes up our emotions. This messes up how we engage with the world around us. And that is a cycle that perpetuates, where then the world is sick and then it makes us feel emotionally ill. That messes with our mind, and we continue to live in this like three-dimensional sphere of sickness in the physical, then the emotional, then the mental, and we cannot enter into the spiritual realm, the 4D realm. We can't enter into that realm because we are so spiritually bankrupt and morally bankrupt, and we are so invested in depravity of this false system. And I do get that this has to do with, this has to do with the sorcery that was created thousands of years ago. And it wasn't just in the Babylonian Empire, it was also the Egyptians, it was also, the Aztecs. They were not the only ones that were contacted by these energies and entities. The word that I was presented is deities, and something that's like people, deities, higher dimensional beings that have more power than the beings that were living here on Earth. And that's breaking off, and they knew that. That's a timeline that they knew they were going to have only so much time, and that's like the wheels are coming off. And because it's like the end of an age, and like there are these different yugas in I guess it's in Vedic, I don't want to use the word theology, but Vedic philosophy, with these different yugas in the Kali Yuga. We are coming to a place where there's like this real end of this age, and it's very dark. It's this Piscean age. It's very dark. It's very here, because like Pisces can really be showing us the dark side of the universe, and just as high vibrational as it can go and harmonious as it can go, the opposite end of that is being absolute and utter chaos, and where it can give life, and that is like the living water, as I said, that Yeshua was talking about, because we know that Pisces, like the Piscean message, is the Christ message, 12th dimensional unconditional love, which is achieved through forgiveness and acceptance. And those are the practices that allow us to achieve unconditional love, is acceptance and forgiveness. And so with this Emperor in reverse card, there was something I was saying that I just lost. With the Page of Cups, all of that has been being purged from inside of us for a long time now, actually. But like I'm seeing like mucus like draining from inside of the head, just draining from inside of the head, and like clarification, where like our hearts are able to process our blood better. We are free, essentially. We're free. And I think that has to do with our ancestors and the ancestral trauma and all of that stuff that came from those old ages. Oh, that's what I was saying. These upper dimensional entities that are malevolent came here and gave certain entities information on how to enslave the human race, and they did that. And that's when slave societies were created. This is historical stuff. This part that I'm talking about, I actually like learned about in my sociology class. Anyway, that's what they talk about when they're talking about like. Anyways, that's not important right now. Essentially, that's all you need to know, is these upper dimensional beings were able to come here and transmit that message, and they can transmit that message just by using their ajna, just by using their third eye, because that's how telepathy works. And those of us who are born with our third eye open are able to communicate with one another and channel and telepathically communicate very easily. And once you start your ascension process, this really becomes active in a way that's just like, it's like, ding. It's like when you have like a sound spoon. What is it called? Tuning fork. And it goes ding. At a certain point, that happened for me when I was 18. And basically, it's just been like, you know, it's been tuning. It's been fine-tuning the ajna to these upper dimensional. This has been preparing us for this moment. This has been getting us in alignment for this moment so that we can be in harmony with this sun sync that is happening. There was a serious sun sync that happened, and now we're having the Alcyone sun sync that's happening, and we're getting aligned. And there's crown chakra activation too, because as I said, there's a whole lot of purging going on that's going down the spine. And so it's important to be grounding ourselves. It's important to be resting, because we're really downloading a lot of light codes. And the light codes, we don't need to rush into making anything happen. We just need to allow it to flow through us and allow it to purify our spirit, so that we can live in alignment with what is to come. Don't assume that we know that you know inside of your heart what you're supposed to do, but that you don't have to control anything. And so the eagle carries another orb representing the power, dominance, and vision of the emperor. The eagle is one of the highest, but not the highest. It's one of the highest transmutations, transformations of the Scorpio. I believe it goes spider, scorpion, snake, eagle, phoenix. I feel like there's wolf in there too. Spider, scorpion, snake, wolf, eagle, phoenix. And I feel like what's happened here, because wolf often has to do with divine feminine and actually is seen as one of the most high vibrational, with wisest animals. And with the eagle being here, I feel like this is, as I said, this high upper vibrational understanding that isn't actually all the way transformed. It isn't all the way evolved, because it would never do this if it were. So the fact that if anyone's offering you this idea of and this is what Satanism is essentially, this idea that we embodied beings are the be all end all, and that we can be masters of this domain, and this egoism, this excessive egoism and obsession with being in the body, doing manifestation, control, this obsession with all of that stuff, and this obsession with being God when we're not, we're in bodies, so we can never ever until we die, you know what I mean? And even then, this obsession with that, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. And if you don't know actually anything about Satanism, I've talked about this before, I don't believe in the devil, or any of that kind of stuff. I believe that is what Satanism is the devolution of humankind, which is this obsessive manipulation of the soul to constantly be birthing shadow, so that we can manipulate the shadow and just do these nefarious things with it in the 3D world. And so these people were taught the ability to do this by upper dimensional beings. And I'm getting something from Atlantis. Atlantis is coming in here. I think there's a channeling message coming in from Atlantis here. And basically they're saying don't do what we did. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Do not go down that road. The road to hell is paved with selfish intentions masked as good intentions. It's not about us. It's about the universe. It's about oneness. It's about the collective. We need to be in service of the collective. And when we do that, when we transform and we make life beautiful for others, and we make things, and we are in service of the galactic union, is what we're being told to do here, is serve this galactic union. by helping Earth transcend and ascend into higher consciousness, because it's something that's going to happen either way. And there are going to be humans that make it, and they're going to, but like, the more the merrier, essentially. So please don't let this happen again here. Please don't let this happen again here. Like, they really want us to know that they really don't want this to happen again here. They want us to succeed. They want us to have redemption. And some of us have harder lives than others, and that is because a lot of us are paying for the debt of our ancestral heritage if we are from. And that's something that hasn't even been talked about. Like, there's so many parts of history that are talked about widely, and then there's also the covered history that is said to be not true, which is now coming out that it's like, it's undeniable. There's archaeological evidence and that sort of thing. And some of us are from those bloodlines. Some of us are from Atlantis. Some of us are from Lemuria. Some of us, you know, are from these ancient civilizations, you know, and we need to be conscious of that, because, you know, it's past lifetimes on other on other planets, but it's also past lifetimes on this planet where our ancestors failed to do what they were supposed to do. And we're here to rectify that, and we're here to make it right. And so that, I'm gonna end there. A crown bearing the horns of a ram, a symbol of assuredness and intelligence, adorns the emperor's head. He stands sure-footed, protecting his domain. But in the indirect position, he is a ram, like Aries, going into the ground, going down forcefully. That's like the maladaptive Aries energy of chaos and destruction and taboo. It's like Pluto, and with the rape and the pedophilia and also the incest. The kidnapping and just taking what we want and blah, blah, blah. The secrets, the conniving, you know, all of that stuff. That's what we have here with this Emperor in reverse card. And if you look at this, this is so beautiful. Like, it's showing us that we've been purging this in the dark night of the soul, and we just needed to keep going. Because in the direct position, she has like this lotus in her hand, and she has her eyes closed, she's in the water, and she's meditating. And I feel like what's happening there is like she's purifying her yoni, honestly, is what I feel like it is. And so, as I said, this is a new deck, and I wasn't intending to go this long. I was like intending to go for 15 minutes, but I feel really good about this, and so I'm actually gonna call in the energy of the Divine Mother, Virgin de Guadalupe, Mother and Helper of all Christians who appear to Dear Virgin of Guadalupe, Mother and Helper of all Christians who appear to unto the precious presence to us and offer our public petitions to the in the fragrance praises to the Divine Son, to your wish for the Christ on my neighbors are so loud. Anyway, so I'm gonna rewrite that prayer just because, like, I don't like that. So the Page of Cups in the direct, okay, so reverse when the Page of Cups appears in reverse in this right, it can symbolize a turning inward and the desire to spend time alone. It can indicate a decline of social invitations or communications between friends, because we're really being asked to go inward here, as I said. More with this Page of Cups energy, I feel like is, you know, there's a dissolution of false friendships, of false relationships that's going on as we're being purified to ascend into our domain and our realm that we are to essentially like cultivate as kings and queens of these empires. And I don't like this language because it's very colonial, but you know, whatever. And so other people can't go with us into that space because they simply cannot reach that vibration. They are still so low vibrational. They haven't really reached that vibration, essentially. And so these relationships are ending, and so during this dark night of the soul, there's been a whole lot of clearing, and it can seem scary, but it's actually something that's really important. It's actually something that's really beautiful. It's actually something that's really healing, and we should really, like, it's best to just embody as much gratitude for it as we possibly can. Now, getting grounded about this is important. You know, getting grounded about this, and you know, it's painful, but it's something that's really important. So, you know, we may want to share with a ton of people, but that's not what we're being called to do. We're being called to really connect with our guides. We're being called to really connect with our star lineage, to really connect with our spirit. Because if I said that that was the problem with this card and it's above this card, what does that mean? We're being called to heal that soul sickness, and we can only do that by going inwards and getting rid of the distractions, right? And so then after the Page of Cups, we have this Empress card, and she's pregnant. As I said, she's got this moon with the snake, and I feel like that has a lot to do with Persephone. That has a lot to do with actually Medusa, which has to do with Athena, which she plays into all of this too. This is the transcendence. This is, you know, Persephone / Eris becoming Athena, becoming the goddess of strategic warfare, who is beloved by many, and she is the goddess of wisdom. And there's a heart here too. And as I said, like, I already explained this card, but so let's read what is for the Empress. The Empress represents femininity, abundance, nurturing, harmony, luxury, beauty, and grace. She is an earth mother, Demeter, representing this world and that of the senses. But also remember that Persephone was the daughter of Demeter, or Ceres, and Zeus, or Jupiter. And we have Jupiter now in Neptune. In Pisces, with Neptune. So I feel like a lot of people who are from Atlantis, you know, especially, people from Atlantis, people from these Atlantean star seed lineages are really being activated right now. I feel like there's a cleansing going on. Can you give me a little more clarity? I am not supposed to mention that yet. Okay. Earth Mother. So Jupiter has entered into Pisces, which means that there's some Hera energy here too. I don't know where that asteroid is. Juno, the Juno asteroid, but I can actually find out. This is one of the annoying things about this, is that it's like so hard to find humor in astrology. Is it astrology.com? No. I think it might be astro.com. Or is it astrograph? No, it's not astro. It's not astrograph either. I apologize, everyone. This is so annoying. It's so annoying. I can't find it. Oh, this might be it. It's not. It's so annoying. But 𝗪𝗪𝘁 does offer it, so I apologize for wasting everyone's time like this. If you didn't know, I used to do my readings like this when I was first learning how to read charts, because I was just learning how to read charts, and I was learning how to read the cards, and I would just like read like this everything, and so people like watched my whole process. Juno is in Sagittarius in the 11th house with the South Node. And Sagittarius, as you all know, is ruled by Jupiter. So yeah, this is a coming together of like the divine feminine, the divine masculine. There's actually, wow, the sun is making right now, the sun is making a grand trine to, the sun in Gemini is making a grand trine to the moon in Virgo at 28 degrees and 38 seconds, and Pluto retrograde in Capricorn at 12 degrees, in the 12th house, and the moon is in the 8th house. Wow. It's not exact because Gemini, obviously, but it is a grand trine there. And when we have the grand trine, then that we have like that launching off arrow that I talk about, with the moon and vertex making an opposition to Neptune and Poly, but I don't know anything about Poly, to be honest. Or that's Pallas Athena. I apologize. Well, I was just talking about Athena. Yeah, this is really a level up here. This is a reintegration of self. This is like all of the disparate parts of ourselves are coming together and being healed and made whole with all of this energy that we're experiencing right now. The goddess of fertility, the Empress, is portrayed with child surrounded by greenery and ripe wheat. She holds a heart-shaped charm and a 𝗪cie𝗀𝗺𝗃 scepter, symbolizing both life and rebirth and the power of the triple goddess. And if you've watched my videos leading up until now, you know that I've been talking about the triple goddess. And her as core, Persephone/Eris, and then Athena. The Empress wears a necklace adorned with the symbol of Venus, as well as a crown of stars. She stands beneath the pomegranate tree, a symbol of fertility, while one foot stands firmly on land and the other dips into the river of life. She is what I just said. Like, that's just, like, that's what I've been talking about. The river of life, the river Styx, like. So the Queen of Swords in the reverse position is underneath, and I perceive of this as, you know, what we thought we knew, we didn't. we've been purging a lot of these old ideas that have been keeping us from being able to manifest the existence that we want, the life that we want. We haven't been able to access our best selves. We haven't been able to be our best selves, and it's been really difficult. And the reason for this is because we've been holding on to old ideas and this old paradigm that no longer works. And so, you know, yeah, I just wanted to check. And so we're being called to let go of those old ways of being and the sickness that keeps us from feeling like we are separate, the sickness that thinks that we are not good enough. And you know, I just like wasn't sure if I was feeling my higher power, because I was like, is it me? What is it? Because yeah, and I had to check back in again, and my higher power was like, I'm here. And she's a little bit miffed because she's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I'm right here. Of course, I'm the one who's always saying these things, you know? And it's, yeah, that just goes to show, like, we have to be able to trust ourselves. And when we don't trust is when we, you know, bring out the sickness. But it is also about having balance and not, like, it's 11:22, which is actually 23:23. Now it's 23:23. What happens when we are not in alignment is just terrible things manifest. Like, all of the worst things manifest when we're not in alignment. As the Queen of Swords in an indirect position can represent a lack of compassion and bitterness with no mercy. Jealousy, vindictiveness, and distrust are traits often seen with this card is reversed. And I feel like that kind of has to do with Morgan Le Fay from the Avalon, you know, tales, and just doing whatever we can to get our bottom line met. And what is our bottom line? It's like these, I mean, it's really just to be loved and accepted and one. And you know, when we feel rejected, when we feel scared, if we feel alone, we feel like we're not getting what we need, we tend to act out. And how do we become the Lady of Grace and Dignity that we want to be, the being of grace and dignity that we want to be, the, like, this powerful creator, this powerful manifester? How do we become that? And we become that by getting rid of the sickness, the soul sickness that we've been embodying. 23:23 means that you should use your talents. It is time to show your creativity and talents because they will help you reach your goals. This is a great time to make efforts and to do something for yourself. That's liberation right here. There's liberation right here. And I'm getting like, speak, speak, speak. Tell the truth. And I'm seeing like people just snapping and like clapping and like being so, you know, grateful for us telling the truth. And this is gonna give us the love that we need to continue forward. So, oh my God. The Eight of Cups in the direct position. I feel like, honestly, I saw this kind of as a shackle, and there, all these cups are filling the water, and like the tail of her dress is in the water, kind of, so she's going up the bank out of the water. And this to me reads as like, and she seems to be holding something, kind of looks like it might be like part of the tree, and pulling herself out of the water and like walking up out of the water, because this is the end of the dark night of the soul. This is the end of the dark night of the soul. But the thing is, there's that ghost trail still in the water where we're still in it. We're still in it a little bit, but we're free. Like, we're walking out into the light. We're walking out into this, like, you know, well, actually, it looks like it might be like the sun is rising in this perception that I'm getting of it. Like, all of these cups that have fallen over and are in the water, they're all fallen over, all 8 of them. And 8 is the number of transformation. we are transformed, and right now we're in those phases that it's still happening. You know, it's still happening. And the thing of it is it's always going to be happening. This tail that's in the water, I feel like this Lemurian understanding of like what is, and like the past, and you know, the future, like requires us to be in the water at some level. To understand the past, the future, we must understand the past. There's something like this is Afrofuturism. This is what I talked about in the video, the Gemini video, right? To be able to create for the future, we must know where we came from. Remember who you are is what they say in what is it called? Well, in The Lion King, but also in Lion King, Black Panther. When the Eight of Cups represents sadness and abandoning the old in search of a deeper meaning, solitude, and change, which is something that we also got with the Page of Cups. Like I said, that dark night of the soul, but we're stepping out of that dark night of the soul energy now. Weary with the way things have been, one is urged to leave part of the past behind in search of something more fulfilling. In this card of transition, the figure portrayed in the card emerges from the water cautiously with a bit of sadness and reluctance, because there's a lot of loss that is to be mourned. With the Magician card in the reverse position underneath it, this to me is talking about like how we didn't get what we wanted, but we need to understand that we didn't get what we wanted because what we wanted was not right for us. What we are getting is so much more. And if we are able to look past our own ego, our own sick, like just desires, our own idea of what's best, when we don't know what's best because we are not all of the universe. We can't see that far. We cannot, not even I can see that far. Not a single person. And the only way that you know that somebody truly is in spirit is when they can admit that. If you cannot admit that, then you are sick, and you are sick with this soul sickness. This is a disease that will keep you sick and suffering and unhappy and miserable and separate from everybody else and everything else, and you will never be able to be one. And you will suffer all the time. And you're so busy trying to manifest stuff that only matters in the 3D reality that you can't see the beauty and the majesty that exists all around you. So gratitude is so key here. Gratitude is so key here because it is what is going to ascend us up and out of those dark, sick doldrums where the monsters and the demons in the shadows alight, and they are of our own creation. That Eve story that I shared on the Patreon back in Taurus season. Eve gave birth to the beast before she was assaulted. What does that mean? It means that even when Sophia fell through the realms, she created the demiurge, she created these spaces, and she also created the tears with her fears. Are we being conscious of what we're creating? Are we being conscious of where we're going to, those parts of ourselves that we're going to, what we're giving energy to, what we're giving attention to? Are we choosing to move with faith, to lead with faith, to stand in faith, to be in faith, to be in love, in the frequency of love? Unconditional. Or are we choosing to hold on with a vice grip to the same depravity that made us sick over and over and over again? Is that what we're choosing to do? That's not gonna continue. We're being given the tools to ascend, and we just need to open up to it. Open up that rib cage and let that ever unfolding rose bloom. Receive those golden light rays. Allow them to trickle through you, to flow through you, to enlighten and enliven is what I'm hearing. Enliven. So that we rise, just like Yeshua died and was ascended 3 days later. We have died. And 3 cycles later, we are ascending into Christ consciousness. If you look at this card, in the direct position, he's standing on this dove, which is in this like crescent moon. And that's divine femininity, that promise is uplifting him. But in this position, you see this? Christ consciousness will prevail. There's only so far you can get with that BS. And it's not going to get you very far in this new world. It's not going to get you very far in this new age. So let's read what the Magician says. In the reverse, it refers to someone who abuses their power and is completely domineering and lacking regard for the feelings of others. There's an air of entitlement about them. That's exactly what I said. This is a maladaptation of the sacral chakra, the Svadhisthana. The Magician represents creative power and determination. The Magician, strong-willed and ambitious, reminds us of our ability to harness the power of the universe in order to manifest our dreams and desires. And you have to understand that when we're talking about matrix healing, matrix has to do with Pisces, matrix has to do with Neptune and Jupiter is in there too. Jupiter is one of the foundational 3 dimensions, because the 3 dimensions in my book, the 4 dimensions are the outer planets. Jupiter and Saturn, first and second dimension. Then we have the 3rd dimension. Well, no, okay, so Saturn is actually the 4th dimension. But we have Pluto, Jupiter, Neptune, and Saturn. And those are the 4 rulers of the different dimensions. Jupiter, I feel like, has a lot to do with space, but so does Neptune, and that's part of why it's expansive. The space is expanding. You know, Saturn has to do with time. And so then there's Pluto and Neptune. But as I said, there's Pluto and Jupiter. And then Neptune is space. It's the 12th D, is the expanding time. It's expanding space. And I guess like length is Saturn, Chronos, and width, that's the 1st dimension. Then width is Jupiter. Depth, yeah, I'd say that depth is Pluto. Yeah, I mean, these things can get a bit convoluted. And, you know, there's also only so many planets that had been discovered at that time. And so there's also, like, I mean, there's Capricorn, and then there's also Aquarius, which are both ruled by Saturn. There's Sagittarius, and then there's Pisces, which is also ruled by Jupiter, you know? So anyway, the point is, these are the rulers of this, like, space that we live in, essentially. And whatever contracts have been made are coming down. You know, whatever contracts have been made are coming down. The Magician represents all of the elements of the universe: fire, water, air, earth, and spirit, as represented by his tools: cup, wand, pentacle, and sword. This is a card of potential and impact, and reminds us to grasp opportunities and take action consciously and deliberately. And I do feel like coming out of the Queen of Swords, so what I'm seeing is that this is like the mirror of the above world, and this is the mirror of the inner world. And so what's going on the outside versus what's going on inside. There's a lot of, like, if you look at these cards together, it's like this. There's a pattern going on. I can't stand this. I have to move out of here. I cannot deal with this. Anyway, so the Two of Cups in the reverse position here, and then the Six of Cups in the direct position here. And the Two of Cups, it's like the green man, and it's the green man, and it's actually Pluto and Persephone. It might even be Plutus and Persephone. And I feel like what's happening here is that they're remembering their power and calling forth the light necessary to do the inner work that they need to do and rise up out of this dark night of the soul energy more. So where the Page of Cups is like, this is the start of it. The Empress is finding ourselves, and the Eight of Cups is like, we're coming out of that space and we're understanding how we played a role in creating the mess that we exist in. And then this Six of Cups on the bottom is like us reconnecting with our inner child and getting healed and getting whole and getting right. And then we come to the Queen of Wands energy at the end, where we're really in our power and our sacral chakra is realigned and the divine feminine has ascended to her power and taken her seat. And where we were misappropriating our creative power, we are now able to handle it. We were too immature, we were too spiritually immature to know how to handle it. It's not something that we need to beat ourselves up over. We are forgiven, it's okay. We are accepted by the Galactic Federation. We are accepted by the other beings in the universe accept us, and you know, it's okay. We just are in this process of becoming more mature, and it just is what it is. Everything is as it is meant to be. And so the Queen of Wands is attractive, magnetic, energetic, confident, and warm. Although not unnecessarily emotional, she is caring and sincere and draws people in with her cheerfulness and optimism. Much like her familiar lion, the Queen of Wands is attractive, magnetic, energetic, confident, and warm. And this I feel like is just being in our power, and just like, this is like 𝗪cie energy here, where she went into the forest because, is it Olagun? I don't remember, but he was like on a war path, and she went into the forest to like find him and get him, and she just like went into the water and took a bath, and he like came and she like put honey on his mouth, and he like then was sweet. And this is that energy, like, you don't even have to do anything, you're just so attractive being who you are, and that is coming from trusting who you are, having faith in who you are, like believing in yourself, loving yourself. And so she's caring and sincere, draws people in with her cheerfulness and optimism. I do feel like this is a Leonine energy. This is the Lyran energy. This is like being crowned in who we are, where we came from, that Lyran starseed energy, using our voice, using our gifts to really shine as bright as we are capable of shining. And a lot of Pleiadians are actually Lyran starseeds. Because Lyra was destroyed, and a lot of Lyrans chose to go to the Pleiades because we seeded the Pleiades, and so we had like bloodlines on the Pleiades that we could go to. And one of my ancestors is speaking to me, and they like a Lemurian ancestor on my mother's side, actually. Whoa, that's actually really surprising. Although not unnecessarily emotional, she's caring and sincere and draws people in with her cheerfulness. Yeah, lots of O's. Oh, wow. She's caring and sincere and draws people in with her cheerfulness and optimism. Much like her familiar lion, the queen is strong and capable. Familiar lion. And this is also like Yeshua. You know, Yeshua is represented as a lion, like Aslan. Much like her familiar lion, this queen is strong and capable. And it actually reminds me of the Strength card in the Cosmic Tarot deck, where she's holding like this like white cloth in front of her and there's a lion. Anyway, she's creative and she's a creative visionary, knows she's capable of accomplishing anything she sets her mind to. Ability to see the future, and I see this as like the Merkaba, the ascendance into the light territories, and you know that this is something that we can accomplish sending into that crystal castle of consciousness that I've been talking about when we meditate and go to that place and allow ourselves to ascend into that space. It's not going to be a physical space just yet, because we have to build that heaven on earth energy. You know, she's her ability to soar like an eagle, like I said, makes her very inspiring to others, and she's very much and is very much a part of her lore. And so that's what I have. That's what I got. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been an hour and I wasn't expecting it to be that long. I was expecting it to just be 15 minutes, but that's what came out, and I'm really grateful that I got to talk to you all about this. And so just to read to you again, the angel number 2323 means that you should use your talents. It is time to show your creativity and talents, because they will help you reach your goals. So all of my light family, all of my Pleiadian star seed lovers, and you know, lifers, because we chose this path. We chose to be here, we chose to come here, and it's been hard, but guess what? It gets easier. Those of us who didn't make it are out there, you know, we're going through it, and we have to make this an easier space for them to exist in, so that they don't ever have to live in fear again. That's what we're here to do. We're here to support one another. We're here to love one another. We're here to make this an easier, safer space for each and every single one of us, for life to be able to manifest in this space. This is what we're accomplishing here, and we are accomplishing it. It's not just trying, it's doing. We are accomplishing it by doing what we are asked to do. So live in your truth, and you will get everything that you have ever wanted to get. I love you all truly and deeply, and I will see you soon.